Actually, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure I got the band name right. Cause yeah, exactly. Okay. So oh, half of them are what? Okay. Well, I've never heard of this band before. But obviously, I've heard some of you lot talk about it. They are now called what are they called? Pop etc. That's right. Um, but they used to be called the Morning Benders, right? And so, well, you know what? Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's child legal. And yeah, because I've heard some of you talk about this in the past, I thought we would try to make a pun, but obviously I fail completely at making puns. I should 1 minute. Muses admits to not being funny. There we go. No. How can I be? Okay. How can I be funny? Right? Like it's impossible for me to. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. See, you lot should learn. You lot should learn from the mommy's clique and be nice to me, as opposed to not being nice to me, which is not nice. Well, such is life, isn't it? We can't all get what we want. That's right. And oh yes, I forgot to introduce what we're doing today. Obviously, today we have another um Blender thing building thing as sponsored by our industrial infra. What am I saying? I can't speak this morning. I keep thinking industrial design, and then I keep thinking infrastructure because obviously that is my personal cup of poison. Like that's what I like the sphere that I like to play, right? And so when we do that, or when I talk about that, that's generally what I talk about. So yes, exactly. So oh wait, what happened to snapping? Is this snapping? Snap. Snap. No, that's the wrong snap. Still trying to figure out Blender. So that kind of snap. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, but it should be okay. Should be okay. So then what we will do is we will go to depth surface, orientation surface. No, we will go to edit mode, and we will or and then we will press pull this, right? I think. Well, no, I don't want to do that. That would be weird. So it's not extrude. Then what is it? Oh, right, it's just G. That's right. Yep. Yeah. See. So now we have a slightly higher wall on this end, right? Yeah. Excellent. So it's just G. Um. No. Excuse me. They want me to say weird things. Someone help. I need an adult. I So the idea is, look, we've made a wall, right? And so this city now has. Oh, I can't move the camera like that. I have to move the camera like this. Okay, fine. So we've made a wall, and we've made it rather easy for us to build extra walls into places, right? I wonder if we can. Oh, I wonder if we can go into object mode and now combine these. I know how I would do it normally, but I'm not sure how to do it here. Blender combine two. It should be just an add, right? Oh, you can just join them. Okay, so Control J. Ah, fantastic. Are they joined together now? Yes, yes, excellent. And so when we go into edit mode, we can still. Oh, they're just joined. They're not. Okay, then. I mean, that's not the end of the world. They are mostly. Oh. They are mostly just joined together, but like they are still two separate objects. I like the fact that I can do this. Right, let's do this, and then we can just like. Oh, it didn't. Oh, that's that's actually mildly annoying. So like, I thought when I did this that when I selected these 2 points, I would actually select everything behind it, but that's obviously not what happened, right? So we didn't actually select those points, which means that that view is actually mildly useless. Do I want to talk about that? No, I don't want to talk about that. To me, that stuff is extremely tragic and. No, let's not talk about it. Okay, 7 minutes. Muses doesn't want to talk about vile current. No, let's just say it doesn't want to. Muses doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, in the future, try not to bring it up on stream, because obviously this is a sad topic and I really don't want to talk about it, but now that we've sort of gotten here, I think it's probably important that we do. We are living in a society where some forms of racism are visible, some forms of racism are invisible, some forms of racism are acted upon, and some are not. And one of the places where racism is not really acknowledged or acted upon is against East Asians. For the simple fact that for the longest time we are considered a model minority in that there's very little crime, there's very little disturbance. They go to university. They don't create nexuses of societal problems. And the issue there is that this then means that this particular group, and within it I do include Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, some parts of Southeast Asia as well, where that heavily Confucian, or not heavily, but let's say a historical Confucian influenced culture. Oh, sorry, my face disappeared. Yes. But that's in part because I'm walking around now trying to talk about this and trying not to feel too sad about it. There is absolutely 100% a desire by society to not face this, by our society, and to me that is tragic, right? And yes, I completely appreciate, and yes, I completely appreciate that in this case the killer was actually from within the community. But just because it's within the broader East Asian community does not mean that a polarized and consistently aggressive media doesn't contribute towards both internal hate, racism, and external racism, right? So let's be very clear about that. A consistently aggressive media contributes to both internal and external racism within the East Asian community. And that is unavoidable. That is unavoidable. When you make the decision to publish, and now I'm talking specifically to some of our boys who are listening right now because I saw them talking just 2 minutes ago. When you make the decision to publish one voice versus another voice, when you make the decision to hire, right? You're a lot of in part there is the current issue of, like, East Asian parents want their children to go into things like engineering and medicine and law, whatever. What they don't like is when their children go into, or often don't like, is when their children go into journalism. And so you do find that there is, as a proportion, less East Asian journalists. And so when you hire journalists, you are hiring voices that naturally don't really understand the community itself, right? It starts with journalism and the inability to find enough voices that reflect the community, because the community is prone to being silent and less and there is an inherent bias against going into journalism, right? And so what happens is you're hiring people, and the cross section of the opinions that you get from these newspapers are very much a look from outside the community, a look from, and so therefore you do not understand the community, and therefore the broader society does not understand this community, right? Well, thank you, Fox. Can you imagine me as a journalist? Oh my god! No, I wouldn't be able to get anywhere, because obviously the very first thing, like if I were to use my actual name, if I actually now pivot away from what I do and go into journalism, I would actually. Can you imagine? It's just like I would get buried under so much hate. And Charmander shop. Thank you, Fox. I've had my first Charmander when, actually, that's a good question. When did I get my first Pokemon card? It must have been like 10 years ago. I was a deprived child. But yeah, and so the point remains, right? And sorry, I'm turning away from my camera just because I'm this is a rather difficult topic. And thank you, Fox, for that, Charmin. This is a rather difficult topic for me. Journalism, it is the job, and here I'm talking to those two boys who are editors, right? And who are technically responsible for giving enough room for multiple voices to be heard. You lot need to think about very carefully the when you hire, like. No, I do very much agree with that. So the point that was raised, and I'm sorry we're not doing Blender today, but this is just like you're forcing me to do this. This happens, but Muses. This happens to other minorities as well. And that is true. That is true. But no other minority is considered a strategic competitor to America, which means that there is no patriotic need to be to be against Chinese, right? And the problem here is that society is so uneducated that the people who are most likely to go do violence cannot really are often find it difficult to tell between the difference between Chinese people, Korean people, Japanese, Vietnamese, especially maybe less so Japanese names, because Japanese names are now cool, but and Korean occasionally, but those who are most likely to do violence will find it difficult to make that distinction. Right? Oh, what was I saying? But no other minority is considered a global strategic competitor, and therefore talked about with the amount of, and therefore aimed at via patriotism, and therefore other East Asian people suffer along with it, but also, and therefore internally in the East Asian community, it also breeds resentment towards Chinese, right? So add this in, because those most likely to turn to violence are also the ones that may have difficulty in separating the. And no, in no way am I advocating that you should go out and shoot Chinese people. No, no. What I'm saying is that the national discourse is not going in the way that I think would be beneficial towards the East Asian community, and therefore there is that rise in violence against the community, but because the community itself remains semi-invisible, the rise in violence remains semi-invisible, right? And because the community remains semi-invisible, the rise in violence and vitriol towards the community remains semi-invisible. I will 100% admit that they're not doing themselves any favors. No, absolutely. But that doesn't give a polite society the right to ignore the plight of that community. That's all I'm trying to say. And now I'm so annoyed by this particular question that I think we would just end it here for today, because I simply do not want to talk about it any further. Yes, yes, it is your fault. And yes, we will make it up to the architecture and interior design lobby with a future Blender broadcast sometime later this week. I want to emphasize that this is a problem, and this is a problem that remains no matter how much you try to turn away from it. I would encourage our boys and girls to give this some more thought. You know what? That is actually a good point. That is actually a good point. Let me add that in. 30 Muses represents this very well in that he undersells the amount of hate, well, no, amount of racism that actually exists vs East Asians. And you know what, that is fair, and that is true, and yet I am also going to continue my cultural tradition of not making a fuss and just move on from here, right? Like, but if you ask me, I will let me continue to not make a deal out of this. But if you ask me, I will give you these issues, and you better listen. No, you better. No, I will talk about these issues, right? And it's I personally I think it's natural to talk about these issues. I think it's absolutely necessary. Um, but I also understand that sort of me as an individual, there's only so much I can do, right? And until and unless my boys and girls decide to get off their lazy asses, their parents stop being such dumb shits, and encourage their children to do something different. Until then, as a subculture, we are simply unable to bring our point of view across, and that is unfortunate, right? Like let's remember what happened uh, to East Asian movie stars or actors in general, right? The way that they are treated. This is our society. This is this is what you lot have created. It's absolutely like, what do you want me to say? It's just you. Thank you. Well, I hope you all give this some thought. Thank you very much for watching. I do apologize that this has morphed into a little bit of me trying to explain the world to you lot. Um, but such is life. That's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. I will add that in. 2330. Don't worry though. Muses is still taking your money to be part uh, of his to be is still taking your money and allowing you to be part of his community. Congratulations! Thank you very much. So keep paying your monthly membership fee. Yeah, well, you know what happens if you don't pay. So you better pay. You better pay. And we are. There was another question that came up about the community that I should address. Now we are going to continue to keep the cap on the community at 2,000. I know the waiting list is growing, but it's um it's imperative, I think, to me, that I don't want the community to grow too big, especially with sort of tertiary contacts, right? Like, I know most of you decently, I know the core group of what, like 300, 400 of you fairly well, and then the rest, I know sort of, we've had conversations and stuff. More than that, though, as we get out further than that, I'm less inclined to allow into the community, because it makes it a little bit more difficult to control, right? And I think that, like, for our community, it is important that we maintain a semblance of control, just because you guys are practicing your free speech rights quite vigorously, and if I'm unable to enforce a nice sort of um, NDA structure, then we are then the value of the community diminishes, right? Yeah, yeah, essentially, right. Let me talk more. We are keeping the community at 2,000 max for now, because it becomes more difficult to enforce the NDA, and that is part of the value that you all enjoy the most. Yes. I don't want to do a two-tier structure. No. Because that is classism, and in part of what makes our community great, um part of what makes our community great is that CEOs and entry level, or maybe not entry, but like junior level people, is that managing partners, not CEOs, let's say C-level boys and girls, C-levels and junior level people can discuss things as quasi equals, right? And if we lose that, by introducing tiered levels, then it loses a lot of the joy for me. And if I don't find the community fun, then I'm not going to do this, right? And I really do want to continue doing this, because I think it's good for you lot. Anyway, yes, we've gone to 27 minutes. Yeah, whatever, fine. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah. Well, okay, we'll deal with that offline. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for. Yeah. Now I can't even talk properly. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. In conclusion, please download Firefox, please download Chrome, and I shall see all of you tomorrow, probably.